Okay, so we're going to look from a different perspective to determine concentric and eccentric. So here are the questions to help you. What is the joint motion? How is the joint moving with respect to the external torque? So for every exercise, first figure out the external torque, and it will be the same for both up and down phases, if you will. And then you answer the questions. If the joint is not moving, it's an isometric contraction, as I showed you in the previous video. If the direction is opposite, so the joint motion and the external torque are opposite, it's a concentric contraction. And if they're in the same direction, it is an eccentric contraction. There is a special case that I didn't mention last time, but sometimes if they're in the same direction, the external torque and the joint motion, such as a fast ballistic motion, for example, a med ball slam, that becomes a concentric contraction. So that's kind of a special case. But once you decide opposite direction or same direction for the muscles involved, for concentric contraction, it's agonist to the joint motion. Question number one. And for an eccentric contraction, it is the antagonist to the joint motion. So let's look at an example. So this is a triceps kind of push down on a machine. So first I identified that you're holding on to the handle, it's on a pulley, and the stack is here pulling you down. So this external force times this moment arm about the elbow joint is creating a flexor torque. It's trying to pull your elbow joint into flexion. And the internal torque is an extensor torque. Okay, so for this, just remember, flexor torque is the external torque. So from position 1 to position 2, what is the motion of the elbow joint? So it's going from a flexed position to extended position. So the joint motion is extension, but the external torque is flexion. So you have an extension and a flexor torque. Those are opposite. So it is a concentric contraction. If it's a concentric contraction, it is the agonist muscles to that joint motion. The joint motion is extension. Your elbow extensor muscles that create an elbow extensor torque are your triceps brachii. So it is a concentric contraction of the triceps brachii for this part of this exercise from position 1 to position 2. So let's look at the opposite phase. And now this is going from an extended position back up to a flex position. The external torque is still a flexor torque. It is a flexor torque for the entirety of the exercise. The elbow joint in this case is now flexing. Your external torque is a flexor torque. So they're the same direction, and it is an eccentric contraction. The muscles involved for an eccentric contraction are the antagonists to that joint motion. Again, the joint motion for this phase, position 1 to position 2, is flexion. So the antagonists to elbow flexors are the elbow extensors, which are the triceps brachii muscle.